Hello and welcome once again. This is Alex Makarski of Startup Gizmo, and I'm hanging out with Andrew Greig for the third time now. And Andrew has some more news and updates about OptiBike. Things have been moving forth at a rapid pace. So there's some exciting developments, I understand. So Andrew, why don't you catch us up on what's going on?
Sure. We came up with something called one e-bike per child. So it's like, excuse me, like the one laptop per child project, except for the one laptop per child project is what it says it is. It gave an inexpensive laptop to kids to gain access to education, but internet, electricity, the money to get that, the transportation to get there to the school, all these different things were missing. So with the electric bikes, you can actually get electricity and take it home and plug it in and have the electricity at home. That can be had from solar panels at the school. And you can also have internet because the bikes themselves can be repeater systems to create an internet, so they replace cell phone towers. So to reduce the cost of infrastructure and carbon emissions by 80%, that's really what our goal is with this. And to be able to be more efficient, to give 3-4 billion people that don't have access to internet and electricity in the world um, access to this infrastructure that's 80% less in cost. That's really what our goal is. We're just putting together a crowdsource funding where we can actually give put up a bike for $1,000 that comes from a company, OptiBike, that has been around for 10 years. Wins Pikes Peak every year, and also the pace bike for the Tour de France and on CNN, Today Show, and so on. So arguably one of the best electric bike companies in the world. Um, but an entry-level bike that's still high quality, mid-motor, all the advantages for $1,000, and then we'll have a second one up from that, from the middle, and then the high end. And from that, a portion of that will go towards getting bikes to these kids in these other areas to be able to get this, one e-bike per child infrastructure to these other people.
And for someone who hasn't shopped for a bike in the last 10 years, maybe the $1,000 price point. Like I just want to emphasize how cheap it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you talk to that? Like, what's the cost of a good bike? Like, what a bike like this would sell for
Yeah, you have
these days?
your sure. You have your Walmarts, your Canadian Tires, your big box stores that sell two, three, four, five, $600 bikes, right? Um,
Pedal
and then you
bikes,
have
not
your
e-bikes.
yeah, pedal bikes, yeah, pedal bikes. And then you have your stores that are just pedal bikes with no motors that usually start at around 900 and go up to 4, 5, 6, $10,000 with carbon fiber and certain stuff and so on, right, with no motor. So yeah, e-bikes right now, really low end bikes are about $1,500. So with us, the quality is there, the reputation, the warranty. We've been around for 10 years, so it's a big difference, big shift in the marketplace. And of course, the advantage of it is that what does it cost for a taxi ride or whatever, because these things will zip along really well. So it doesn't require gasoline, right? It doesn't require being licensed or anything, but you're going to be able to go a lot bigger distances and move things around, go get some groceries, light groceries and stuff and so on. So it'll have quite a bit of value.
So to me, it seems like the revolution of the impact and the size that Henry Ford was able to create with his Model T, that he brought down in price. I can't remember what it was, something like $380 or something like that back in the day,
Mhm.
like which was incredible value, and his own workers could afford to buy those vehicles all of a sudden. Whereas a lot of guys were making cars that would sell for thousands of dollars,
Mhm.
right? So it seems to me that this is the type of revolution that you're creating.
There's twice as many bicycles on the planet as there is cars, right? And it's the fastest growing market segment right now, the electric bikes. So everybody's either talking about them or getting them. The challenges they're finding is that the quality is not necessarily there and the power is not necessarily there, and they're not as efficient, don't go as far as they like. So that's the difference with what we're doing is putting quality stuff into the marketplace.
So why is your bike is going to be at this low price point? Like how are you going to be able to make profit? and have funds for early charity stuff that, or giving back to the community stuff that you have plans for.
Mhm. Well, first, everything's about volume, right? So you do the crowdfunding and you get a large order, so that brings the cost down of manufacturing, right? And it is a loss leader for us, so we don't have a large profit margin on it, right? Just like you have your Volkswagen, you have your Porsche, and everything in between, right? So it's the same thing. So you get them out there, they get to understand the brand, then they come back, and then we also make it so you can make money from other things, which is everything from carbon credits to the bikes providing an internet service, electricity, a taxi service, but with three-wheeled cabs and sidecars. There's many different other revenue streams. So our goal really is long term is to make it into a freemium. So like we had mentioned before, the ability to be able to pull power into the bike during the night when it's cheaper, half the price here in Newmarket, and then push it back into your house during the day when it's twice the price. The bike actually saves you money on your electricity bill, which eventually pays for it. So the trick is to make electric vehicles a freemium. So you make money from other things around the actual vehicle rather than just selling an actual vehicle.
Awesome. Can you talk a little bit about all this internet repeater stuff that may not be obvious to everyone how it's supposed to work?
Yeah,
Science
sure.
fiction, like it's not something that you come
Yeah,
across every day.
well, yeah, like an easy thing that people have experience with is that if you have a cell phone and you have internet connection through your cellular provider, so it's going to the cell phone tower and you have internet, but your friend next to you doesn't have a cell phone service, but he has Wi-Fi on his phone. So you have, tethering or a personal hotspot. So you can turn your phone into a hotspot. So the other phone can go onto your phone through a Wi-Fi connection. It connects to your phone doing that, and then that goes out to the cell phone tower. So they can daisy chain. So that's a very rudimentary way of being able to explain it. But the bikes themselves actually hop from bike to bike to bike for the internet connection. So inside the bike are radios that make them into the infrastructure themselves. So it becomes a mesh network using IPv6, ultra wideband, and there's a few other things that are in there, but basically the bikes just become little mini cell phone towers, right? And because they're much closer together and shorter distances, it's actually much better for your health, and the frequencies you use are much better for your health than what cell phone towers do, because they have to push out a lot of power to go a longer distance, and that's where the health issues come from.
But then you're looking for some sort of density, like in a specific area. You need a certain number of bicycles per square mile, square kilometer, whatever you have it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll be doing some pilots to be able to get started, but it's also backward compatible, right? So say you've got a few bikes, right? And one of them, because our stuff, our bikes are Bluetooth to your phone, right? So it can actually use your phone to get that internet connection for that group of bikes, right? So it's backward compatible also. So it will work with the cell phone towers and other Wi-Fi connections to be able to exit to go to the rest of the world, right? So that'll be part of it.
Can you talk a little bit about the whole idea of getting more kids to school and why it's so important? Because it seems like the one laptop per child initiative didn't work out quite to the extent that people thought it would, is because children would get laptops, but they would not be able to get to school anyway. Now, why is it important? How I think I know how you address it, but can you talk to that?
Yeah, sure. The biggest issue for kids getting access to education is how long it takes to get to school. So they'd have to walk. Um, and Kiva and others have been giving them bicycles to be able to ride, but even then that's not quick enough because they still have chores to do. They have to make some money. They have to take care of the younger kids. So there's a lot of different things they have to do. So the family's not able to give them up for that much time to get the education. So with electric bike, you get there so much faster. If you put a sidecar on or make it into a three-wheeler, then they could do taxi rides, right? As they go back and forth, they have electricity that's in the batteries that they could take back home and use, or to be able to sell or reduce their electricity costs. At the school, you could have solar panels on the roof because it's a large communal place, and you'd have the footprint to be able to put the solar panels on, so you could have free electricity going in there, and then that would give that an incentive, because either access to electricity or less cost or free electricity from the school would be something that would make the parents go, yeah, we want you to go to school, right? That would make a huge difference. And then the kids could make money from being an Uber, cab shop, bicycle shop, doing support, internet, all these different things, providing internet to the community, electricity, transportation, many different types of services from there. So the goal is to be able to have the kids social and economically uplift themselves, because everything you see today, including the internet, so Facebook, Google, Microsoft, all these different things were school projects. 2 kids in a dorm that dropped out of school, right? So that's where it all comes from. So why not them provide the internet and provide electricity and all the stuff from there, if that's where all the ideas and all the infrastructure comes from in the first place anyway? And then they get to profit from it, and then it fuels their education.
So it sounds like you are looking at merging a bunch of industries into one stream, one product, right? And you enabling it in the areas where these things could not get to, and you disrupting it in the places where these things are available right now.
Yeah, it's kind of like Robin Hood, right? Over here in the first world, people are looking for e-bikes that go really fast and great suspension, look really good, and all these different things, carbon fiber and so on, which is great. And then from the Robin Hood, we use that and use a portion of that to be able to do these pilots, so that the kids can, socially and economically uplift themselves with these community events, this infrastructure in a bike, right? That's 80% less cost and 80% less in carbon emissions. So the goal is to get these 3-4 billion people to have this new infrastructure that costs 80% less and 80% carbon emissions, because that's the only way it'll work for them. And then it'll turn to the point where a lot of companies for products and services will go there, because it's economically makes more sense. And then it'll make it so that we have to adopt it ourselves to actually stay in the game as far as the business world goes. So this is a really big catalyst to be able to move things quickly. And this goes with kind of like a Montessori for about 1/10 the cost online. 16 years of education in as little as 3 years, with 16 years worth of proof, front cover Wired magazine and TED Talk prize winner and so on. So we're melding all these different things together into one giant project to be able to create a whole new paradigm that makes the old one obsolete. And that's really what's required right now. A shift in the paradigm is not going to save the planet or the human race right now. We need a new paradigm that replaces the old one.
Beautiful, beautiful. So your first crowdfunding effort is targeting North America, I'm presuming, like the $1,000 or the under $1,000 price point. That's North America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be North America, Europe, so Australia. It'll be worldwide, because we ship worldwide already. So be able to do that, and then from that we'll be able to advance it so that we add the internet service. We start to add more advancements, bring the cost down, show people how they can reduce their cost of electricity, and can just continue with the model moving forward.
Okay, awesome. And how far away do you think are you from launching this crowdfunding campaign? And then when do you think the phase 2 is going to kick in? Like when you're going to actually go into places like India and China and all those other places where they ride a lot of bikes?
Well, we're already in Costa Rica right now, and we have a school down there that's building a 3-wheel taxi cab, right? And that's with our motor and battery. So, and that's going into a world fair. So they're hoping to win the world fair. So that's already happening right now. For the crowdsourced funding stuff, we're just looking at the different platforms right now. We've got a team together, so we're assessing that. So we don't have a set date as yet. My hopes are, though, is within the next 3 weeks to 4 weeks maximum, because it's the spring's the best time of the year to do that type stuff when people are looking to buy bikes. So that's our target right now.
Fantastic. So what else do you want us to know about OptiBike International and where you guys headed? What's the next step for someone to discover more?
One of the next steps is we're going to work with open source and open sourcing things, just like Elon did with his stuff, simply because you can put a lot more energy into innovation and putting things out there. So what we're going to do is right now on a bike you have some technology that says how hot the batteries are and how fast you can charge them, manages them. And then you have some technology that controls that and the motor. And then you have a charger, right? So you have these different components. We're shrinking that all into one. So we're reducing the cost and complexity, increasing the reliability, increasing the efficiencies by a huge amount, which has never been done in the industry. So these are just things that we're doing right now to be able to take it quantum leaps forward to change things. And being open source, Linux open source based type stuff, you can rapidly advance because so many people can plug into your project and add tons and tons of value. So making an open source project is very key, especially with the group at Endless Sphere, because Endless Sphere is really an online bulletin board service for people that are into electric vehicles and doing it themselves and building their own stuff. And it's just monstrous. So what we're doing is taking these different communities, the biking community, education, and putting it all together.
Um, I'm not familiar with the Endless Sphere. Can you explain what it is, what the mission, what they're about?
Sure. Endless Sphere is it was started by a gentleman a long time ago that was just into wanting to collaborate with other people with building their own electric vehicles, and now it's hosted out of Vancouver with some altruistic people over there too. But basically, it's just an online place where people share their experiences of uh, electric vehicles, mostly e-bikes, where they buy their own batteries, they buy their motors, they build their own frames. So it's a huge community of online electric bike builders. That's really what it is.
Awesome. And how do you plan on tapping into other communities? You mentioned education communities as well.
Well, being able to do that online through video conferencing and massive online courses is taking off also. So we're taking all these things that are trending up, putting them together. And by making it so that you have open source being part of that, like one thing I noticed about Endless Sphere and education is that if you apply the open source model, people can collaborate, right? And then they can share ideas and things can be advanced much quicker. The best of breed, best of fit can be put together. They can integrate all this stuff, and then everybody has access to it instead of just acting independently. And with Endless Sphere, it's a huge community, but it's a lot of, take this off the shelf, take this off the shelf, put it together, wire it, and then you might not be able to optimize all those pieces put together because you don't have access, because it's proprietary, to the software and the hardware to make everything communicate optimally, right? So by making an open source project, it gives everybody the ability to be able to take all these ideas and put them together into a new hardware software format that serves everybody better rather than just some off-the-shelf answers.
Awesome. So I keep muting myself because I had a guy show up earlier who's supposed to do eavesdrop cleaning. So he's out there working. You might be hearing some noise. So back to the e-bike. Walk us through the game plan. So it's on your immediate radar screen is a crowdfunding campaign, $1,000 bike launch. That's going to be a big milestone, I imagine. Mm-hmm. How do you take it from there to all the other places?
We'll be looking for different places to be able to pilot this. We have a teacher that's been working with Sagata Mitra, who won the TED Talk Prize for the School in the Cloud. It's also called the Hole in the Wall Project, SOLE, S-O-L-E. That rapid learning stuff. This teacher was just over at my place, friend of mine, and he has 40,000 teachers that follow him. So to be successful in any event, you need to be able to get critical mass as fast as possible. So these teachers are wanting to be able to have a place, just like, well, actually using Google Hangouts and shared documents and stuff and Calendar, to be able to have a place where they can all connect and share resources. But they can also make money so that they can tutor or provide services to people, right? Money can be made with advertising also from the YouTube partner program with the YouTube videos go up and advertising's placed on there. People watch it for entertainment purposes. So there's many different ways to monetize that stuff, put it together. But the key is that you need the the infrastructure and stuff to go with that, and the stuff that's cool, because the kids like stuff that's cool. So if you have the e-bike, you inject that, and you get the e-bike to be able to add internet, electricity, um, and then mass transportation with three-wheeled vehicles for taxis, and then they make into a business and make money out of it as a bike shop, and a cab, an e-cab type stuff. So all of those things will come together, but it's going to be fun and messy though, because it's a large group of people. So we'll be putting it out to them, and then it's going to evolve based on just like crowdsource funding is, it's very simple. Is crowdsource funding is a way to be able to get pre-orders for something that's not actually even complete yet. So that way you can actually change what they're going to get based on the feedback, that rapid feedback. And you can also understand what the market really, really wants and be successful that way. So you get sales, marketing, pre-orders, money up front, and then you deliver to the market. So for doing things. So between Endless Sphere, the 40,000 teachers, if you take some numbers, if you're a numbers person, teachers. Now each one of those teachers are pretty much, well, they are, people that are going, black sheep going against the, against the grain, so to speak, right? So there's one of those per school. So that's 40,000 schools. So if you say each one of those schools on the very low end has 500 students in it, that's 20 million. That's your audience, 20 million that we're putting this out to for these, the e-bikes and this a website where you go to where you can get rapid education that's self-directed, self-directed learning that creates awareness and critical thinking. So that's what we mean by unzombify, right? So both chemically and mentally, you can go to a place where your kids or yourself can do that, and then help to unzombify others, because it creates a find engine. So that find engine is literally these kids doing their sole, self-directed Montessori learning stuff, which really is researching stuff online, and sometimes it's products and services, and sometimes you can give them questions on products or services because they like that half the time that you give them the questions, and then they research it and turn around and they do a presentation. So it's really a find engine. It's not just a search engine, and it has ethics and morals and stuff, because the kids are always altruistic, cradle to cradle and stuff and so on. So it's going to create a place that's really a consumer's guide, so that it'll drive people's buying habits to change things to be more efficient and better for the environment and better for people at a low cost, because it's group buying. So really, unzombify really is unzombifying the population is really the goal, through access to self-directed learning, critical thinking, but at the same time, through that process, providing a consumer's guide for people to buy stuff that is just simply better for everybody. So by changing our spending habits, our buying habits, our consumerism, we can choose and vote how we're going to do things. So instead of trying to complain to a government, or complain to about the media or the Illuminati or whatever it may be, at the end of the day, none of them can survive, it's corporations, governments, without cash flow. So we're feeding them. We're feeding the enemy, right? So the only reason we're doing that is because we don't have enough time to be able to do the research ourselves, to be able to understand, what is the best lawnmower? Okay, aisle 9 at Walmart, it's $99. Okay, I need one right now, and you go get it. So our lives are too busy, and it's too easy to fall into the mass advertising and the big box stores. So you have no idea how good this is for the environment, right? So if you have a bunch of kids that it's just their process anyway to be able to become educated, to research all this stuff, that's a great way of using an untapped resource and a huge database of altruistic choices for purchasing products and services and making decisions in the world that is better for all of us as a whole.
Awesome. I didn't want to interrupt you there, but we've been riffing off for a while, and I have one more question I would like to ask you, and then I'm probably going to wrap up. And the question is, so we discussed OptiBike, we discussed Zombify, we discussed changing habits, and all this big stuff. Now, someone listening to this podcast, what kind of people are you looking for right now? Like, some person might be into X, or they might have experience with Y, and what kind of people do you want to step forward and say, raise their hand and say, hey, I can help you with this or that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks. So if you're in a Waldorf or a Montessori or a Steiner school or alternative education, and you're passionate about that, then we want to hear from you if you want to help out with this project, right? If you're into e-bikes, right, then we want to hear from you, right? If you own schools, or into projects, or are into, you work at an NGO or you work at organizations that would relate to this type of project to be able to help people to socially and economically uplift themselves, become interdependent, then we'd like to hear from you, right? Because there's lots of resources out there going towards things right now that are simply not sustainable for the people right now, that are getting the kind of charity triage type stuff, because self-esteem is our goal. As a school teacher for the highest accredited private school in Costa Rica, as a computer teacher from kindergarten to grade 12, the kids told me they were in the business of self-esteem and that they need to be able to be in control of their educational system. And if you look at the Steiners, the Waldorf, and the Montessoris, and so on, they were orphanages on farms. So they had the advantage of not having parents with the past paradigm that serve them, but will not necessarily serve them, the kids moving forward, because they create that in the school system themselves. So that type of autonomy. So if you get some of the things I'm talking about here, then yeah, contact us and let us know how you could plug in.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Andrew. Thank you for coming to the show again. That was, I think that provided quite a bit more color to the previous couple of conversations we've recorded, and I'm really grateful for spending this little bit of time with you today.